We've all experienced a strange coincidence at some point, from bumping into an old friend in the most unlikely of places, to saying something at exactly the same time as someone else, almost as if you're reading each other's minds. But throughout history, there have been some truly amazing coincidences that would leave you speechless. In this video, we take a look at 10 unbelievable coincidences that will blow your mind. Number 10. Separated twins with identical lives. This bizarre true story would be a dream for psychologists to analyze. A set of twins who were born in Ohio in the United States of America were separated at birth, and then both went on to grow up for 39 years without any knowledge of each other's existence. Now here is where the crazy part starts. Both the twins were named James by their different adopted parents. They both grew up to be police officers. They both married women named Linda. They both had one child each with their wives, who was a boy. And the first twin named their child James Allan, spelt with one L. And the second twin named their child James Allan, spelt with two L's. But there is more. Both the twin brothers had pet dogs. They both chose to name their dogs Toy, and then both the twins went on to divorce their wives, who remember are both called Linda, in their early 30s. It wasn't until the twins were aged 39 when they tracked each other down and discovered the almost unbelievable parallel lives they've been living. Number 9. Miss Unsinkable. Violet Jessup was either one extremely lucky woman, or depending on how you look at it, one extremely unlucky one. Born on the 2nd of October 1887, Violet Jessup gained a reputation for being a Miss Unsinkable. She was an Irish-Argentine ocean liner stewardess and nurse who is known for surviving the disastrous sinkings of both RMS Titanic in 1912 and HMHS Britannic in 1916. In addition, she was also on board the RMS Olympic when it accidentally collided with a British warship in 1911. Somehow, she managed to survive 2 disastrous sinkings and another major collision. What are the chances of that? Number 8. Simpsons predict Trump. The creators of the much-loved television show The Simpsons seem to have a knack for predicting the future. For instance, they have previously been correct about the invention of smartwatches and the horse meat scandal, and there are many more examples. But one of the craziest things they've somehow managed to predict was Donald Trump's presidency. In an episode that aired almost 19 years ago, titled Bart to the Future, in the episode, Lisa is the President of the United States of America and is attempting to rebuild the economy after Donald Trump ruined it during his term as president. The writer of the show later explained in a recent interview that it was meant to be a warning for America. He said he didn't want the USA to ever elect someone like Donald Trump. Number 7. The cyclist who escaped 2 plane crashes. Believe it or not, 34-year-old Dutch cyclist Maarten de Jonge has escaped not just 1, but 2 major aircraft crashes in his life. He was booked on board the missing Malaysia Airlines flight 370, but decided to change to an earlier flight that left an hour before flight 370. He also claims to have been originally booked on to Malaysia Flight 17 that was shot down over Ukraine in 2014, before deciding to change to a different flight to save some money. Number 6. Edgar Allan Poe and the Unfortunate Cabin Boy. In 1838, Edgar Allan Poe released a book titled The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. He described in this book how 4 sailors who survived the sinking of their ship were forced to eat a rather unfortunate cabin boy named Richard Parker to survive. 46 years after Edgar Allan Poe wrote that book, in 1884, a small ship named the Mignonette set sail from Southampton, England, on an epic journey to Australia. On board this boat, there were 4 crew members, including a 17-year-old orphan boy named Richard Parker. The Mignonette was caught up in a terrible storm southeast of Trinidad. The 4 crew members were forced to abandon their ship and take to the lifeboat. There was only a small amount of food stored on the lifeboat, so it didn't take long for the 4 men to become hungry whilst they were lost at sea. As time passed, the men grew ever more desperate. On the 16th day, the captain suggested drawing lots to see who should be sacrificed. On the 19th day, a man named Dudley killed Parker with his penknife. Richard Parker's corpse kept the other 3 men alive for another 5 days until they were luckily picked up by a German ship and taken back to England. Once back in England, the crew members were tried and sentenced to death for murder of Richard Parker. However, this was later reduced to just 6 months in jail. A memorial stone for Richard Parker can be found on his mother's grave in Southampton. It is believed that this is one of the last recorded episodes of cannibalism on the high seas. Number 5. Mark Twain predicted his own death. Mark Twain, the famous American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, publisher, and lecturer, was born a week after Halley's Comet passed Earth. Now, Halley's Comet is special because it only passes Earth once every 76 years. When Mark Twain was older, he read about Halley's Comet and said, "I come in with Halley's Comet in 1835, and when it next comes, I expect to go out with it." Mark Twain's prediction was accurate. He died of a heart attack on April 21st, 1911, one day after Halley's Comet's closest approach to Earth. Number 4. The Case of a Rare Book. When famous actor Anthony Hopkins was preparing for his role in the 1974 movie The Girl from Petrovka, he wanted to find a version of the original book the movie was based on to read so he could study it before filming began. But wherever he looked, he couldn't find a copy. He reportedly went in countless bookshops and none of them had it in stock. Then one day, whilst he was travelling on the subway, he found a copy of the book. It had just been left on one of the seats of the carriages. But that's not the end of it, because Hopkins later met the author of the original book, a man named George Pfeiffer. George told Hopkins that he no longer had his original copy of the book because he had lent it to his friend, who had accidentally lost it whilst on the subway. And it turns out his friend lost it in the same city around the same time Anthony Hopkins found his copy. Number 3. Coincidence or rebirth? The founder of the luxury Italian sports car brand Ferrari was a gentleman named Enzo Ferrari. He was born in 1898 and created one of the most renowned and acclaimed luxury car manufacturers in the world. He lived a long and prosperous life and died at the age of 90 on the 14th of August, 1988. And then exactly 2 months later, on the 15th of October, 1988, the professional football player, or shall I say soccer player for you Americans, Mesut Ozil, was born. Now, many people claim these two look very similar, almost strangely similar, considering Enzo Ferrari died the same year Mesut Ozil was born. Some have even claimed that Ozil is the reincarnation of Enzo Ferrari. What do you think? Is it just a coincidence, or has Mr. Enzo Ferrari been reincarnated? Number 2. The Parallel Lives of Lincoln and Kennedy. Two of America's most well-known presidents, Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, share a truly bizarre and almost unbelievable list of coincidences that happened throughout their lives. Both presidents were elected to Congress in years ending in 46. Both presidents were elected to the presidency in years ending with 60. Both Lincoln and Kennedy have just 7 letters in their name. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost a child whilst living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary, who was named Kennedy, warned him not to go to the theater. Kennedy's secretary, who was named Lincoln, warned him not to go to Dallas. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both of their successors were named Johnson. Both successors were born in years ending in 08. Both of the president's assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, were born in years ending in 39. Both assassins were known by their 3 names. Each assassin's name is composed of 15 letters. John Wilkes Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Lee Harvey Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Both assassins were assassinated before their trials. Number 1. The Tomb of Timur. On June 19, 1941, Soviet Union archaeologists discovered the ancient tomb of Timur, who was the founder and leader of the Timurid Empire in Persia and Central Asia in the 14th century. There was a warning inscribed upon Timur's tomb. It read, "Whomsoever opens my tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." Just 3 days later, Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, one of the largest military invasions of all time, upon the Soviet Union. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, please do give the video a like and subscribe for more content like this uploaded every week. Thanks for watching.